Hey everybody, welcome to Cali Girl Blog Talk. I'm Callie. Thank you for joining me. And today I'll be reviewing Love and Marriage in Huntsville, Season 5, Episode 14, The Cold and the Beautiful. All right. So we start off this episode with Mel. She's at home. She's getting a private in-home massage. She said to relieve some stress, she wanted to get a massage in, and she forgot she invited Stormi over, who just stopped by. So they playing catch up. They haven't seen each other since Stormi's photo shoot or what have you. And so Stormi was like, how was the trip in Destin? She said it was cool. You know, we did stuff with the kids. Everybody got along. It was good. The trip was fine. It was what happened after the trip. Stormi said, what happened? And Mel said, well, when we got back, Martel was sharing my business and having conversations about me with his child's mother. Mel said, I didn't like that at all. Stormi said, how did you find out? And Mel said, because it was on social media, girl. Now imagine that some of your business ends up on social media because of something that you shared with your ex-husband who told his child's mother. So she had COVID, and apparently he told that to his child's mother. And so she said she was on the phone talking to him and she was checking him about something. And he said, why you always causing problems? And he called her by his baby mother's name. And she was like, no, sweetie, that's not who it is. OK, I'm not her. Stormi said, you think he did that on purpose or was it an accident? Mel said, I don't know. It don't even matter, though. She said, because honestly, I'm so far removed from that it doesn't even matter. Like, it didn't even impact her. She said, my thing was he just went back and ran my business down because he was trying to be messy. She said, and it just made her realize that this is why she had her boundaries up. And this is why she don't really fool with him, because she hasn't had to deal with no mess like that in quite some time, you know, but she starts interacting with him. And then all of a sudden, here's her stuff on social media because he's running his mouth. It's like she lets him in. He gets in and find out what's going on with her, you know, private life. And then he runs it down to her, his baby mama. And then it ends up on social media somehow. In her confessional, she said Martel running his mouth about her private medical business again. She said it just shows that, you know, he has not grown. No matter what they say, if they haven't grown, it will always show up. And he's still an immature person. Stormi said, well, speaking of social media, what is this thing on social media about him and Sheree? What's going on with that? Mel said, girl, I don't know. I done the same interviews with TMZ, Shade Room, On Site, all of them. She said, and Stormi, I'm going to keep it real. I wasn't going to say anything because I really don't care like that. She said, it's like you guys are acting like, I guess you guys talking about the blogs and all that stuff. You guys are acting like this is the first woman that I've seen him with. You know, don't y'all remember? He had a whole girlfriend, you know, while we was married, and then turned around and had a whole baby. So, you know, I am not bothered by this. Speaking about Sheree and her confessional, Mel said, I don't know her. We don't have no beef. I don't have anything bad to say about her. She's beautiful. She said, but people wish I did because people like what? Drama. Stormi said, so you know his wine event is tonight. Are you going? And Mel said, I really don't have a desire, honey, to be around somebody who causes discord and interrupts my peace in my life. I just really don't feel like being bothered with that. Said, I don't know if I can be fully supportive. You know, she don't want to fake it. She said, because to go there and try to support knowing that he's still messy, he still likes drama. She said, I have to stay relaxed. Mel said, nothing is worth me interrupting my peace and my calm. And when I have that, I'm a better mom to my kids. And when I'm not, they feel the energy. So I'm in a good space and it's important that I stay there. Speaking of run your mouth, next we see Martel. He's at his event location with Chris. They're setting up for the Inest wine event that he's having that evening. The view is beautiful. And we see Destiny. She shows up. So Destiny is giving him props, saying, I'm proud of you, you know, looking around, saying, you look like you know what you're doing. And he said, yeah, having good people around, you know, makes things happen. And she was like, new people around like your new boo. Martel don't want to talk about Sheree, period. At least not at this time. He said, I don't want to talk about no booze or anything like that. I just want to talk about the Inest wine event. And that's it. OK, great vibes, period. That's it. Desperate to continue talking about it, Destiny said, but that is a good vibe. I mean, you have somebody new that's piqued your interest. Martel says she's a good woman. You know, I'm all for it. Destiny messy, too. She says, well, how do you feel about this? And she pulls up a live where obviously somebody is interviewing Melody, where she's saying on the live, I don't have any feelings pertaining to who Martel is dating. In the live, Mel said, I don't. You know, I don't have any feelings about it. Sometimes people feel like it's my first time seeing him with another woman. She said there were pictures released of him with another woman while we were married. Martel is pissed, okay? He said, how dare you say something to me about anything that I do? Leave it to Destiny to show up on the day of his event where he's in a great mood, and then she sours his mood because she's trying so hard to stick it to Mel that she does it at Martel's expense. He continued, he said, all the people that she's had around my kids to this point who have babysat and watched my children, he said, it's been a lot and I haven't met not one person. What does that have to do with Mel saying she's not bothered by seeing you online and in pictures with another woman? This is not her first time having this experience and she's not bothered by it. What does that have to do with who's watching the children and who's babysitting the children and how you haven't met them? In his confessional, he said, you know, Sheree, me and her, we enjoy each other. She's a great person. And that's why I wasn't hesitant on bringing my children around her. He said, because of the type of woman that she is. And if we do move forward, it'll be great for my family and my kids. But, you know, we're still in the beginning stages of our, relationship. So we're just going to see what's in store. Back at the venue, Martel is talking to Chris and Destiny. He said, it's not like I'm saying to my kids, I'm about to marry this person. No, it's not. I'm not saying that at all. So for Mel to be talking about I haven't matured and talking about me, what she doesn't know is I've been going to counseling for over a year, but she don't know because I haven't publicized that. He said, and I'm not worried about who she's dating, none of that stuff. She's not worried either. Obviously, Mel was asked the question. Destiny did not play that part. She just played the part when Mel answered the question. I doubt that it was nobody. And then Mel just started talking about him and Sheree being online in pictures. Destiny sits there with a look of satisfaction on her face, like she wants to smile hard enough to show her teeth, but she's giving a closed mouth smile. Destiny said, well, if you feel this way, how come you didn't tell Mel about Sheree before it hit social media? He said, because it's not her business. Next, we see Marcel and Tisha. Okay, they're at home getting dressed, trying to figure out what they're going to wear so they can coordinate for Martel's wine event. Tisha said, so it's going to be the first time seeing everybody since the Madani incident. How you think it's going to go? And he was like, I don't know. I don't have any expectations. He said, I think we're going to go. We're going to have a good time. Everybody's going to be talking. And then the ladies are going to pull themselves away to the side and start getting into arguments. Marsau says, yeah, I saw an interview where they asked Mel, how does she feel? How's she doing with Martel's new boo thing? Tisha said, oh yeah, because Sheree came out and confirmed they're dating. And Marsau said, yeah. So Mel did an interview and said she's unbothered. She said, well, Mel don't really say her true feelings. Well, first of all, if she was bothered, why would she say so? That's dumb. Okay. Marsau says she's unbothered, and many people think that there's a strength in being unbothered. He said, people always say that I'm unbothered, but I'm not unbothered. I just choose my responses more carefully. Yeah, so you won't get caught up in nothing. He said, what type of human walks around in life unbothered? That's not a strength. It is a strength. Everything does not have to bother you. And they want Mel to be bothered so bad. It's like they want to see her down bad. They want to see her going through life after divorce as if there is no life after divorce. Marcel, Tisha, they're rooting for her to just be down in the dumps about this divorce. It's crazy because I don't even know why Marcel wants to see Mel down so bad. And if she is acting unbothered, so be it. You always tell Tisha to act unbothered by what's being said on social media. In his confessional, Marcel said, overacting unbothered means you're bothered. When a person says, I don't care, it means you do care. No, it doesn't. It literally does not. I don't know what planet he's walking around on, because then if that's the case, then by you always saying you don't care what's being said on the blogs, does that mean that you actually care? These people on this show are so hypocritical and contradictive. It's laughable. Anyway, he gonna say if it wasn't bothering you, you would never respond to it. TMZ asked her a question. All of these outlets asked her a question. What is she supposed to do? Sit there on mute looking stupid on camera? He gonna tell Tisha, after spending 12 years with someone, you have a volatile marriage, you have 4 kids with them. Well, after about a month of you not seeing them anymore, to hear your ex is moving on, especially in a level up like this, they're calling Sheree a level up. He said it's not a great thing. Is it a level up from Mel or is it a level up from his baby mama? Who's really going to be feeling it the most? But no matter what, they want Mel to really feel it. They act like they all jealous of her. He said Mel probably felt happier when Martel was leveling down. I guess he's referring to his baby mama. But to see how Mel has leveled up herself today with this business and that business, I really don't think she's bothered. She has too much life to focus on, honey. Marcel said, yeah, but the level up that Martell has done is going to be a gut punch to Mel. No, it's not. She don't love him like that. So why would it be a gut punch? So the time has arrived and the guests have arrived to Martell's wine event. Everybody shows up, including Tiffany and Lewis, whom we haven't seen in a while. This setup looks totally different because the one that he had in ATL was just a room full of women. This one is a mixture of company, male, female, family, friends, associates, etc. And again, where the location is, the view is nice. So you see Tisha, Tiffany, and Stormi talking. They're over there looking at the view. Destiny arrives in her confessional. Tisha is like, the location is really nice, but I guess the big question is Mel going to show up to support Martell? Is it the big question, Tisha? Is that the big question on your mind? You're looking for Mel? Here go Tiffany running her mouth as usual. So she says, yeah, so I was supporting Stormi at her photo shoot and Mel stopped by and Mel told us that you invited her over. And I was like, what? That's interesting. Destiny invited you? Tiffany says, so you and Mel are cool now? You're not? What's the deal? What I find interesting is Destiny haven't even been standing there for 5 minutes, according to editing, okay, how we see it. In her confessional, Tisha is already wondering if Mel is going to show up. Immediately, Tiffany starts talking to Destiny about Mel. Mel is a hot topic. What did Megan say on Body Yaddy Yaddy? Yeah, you look good, but they still want to know where Megan at. In this case, yeah, you look good, but they still want to know where Mel at. And then she continued later on in the verse and she said, I'm present when I'm absent, speaking when I'm not there. That's what Mel is for them on this show. Woo! Everybody's storyline, ain't she? Anyway, again, Tiffany says, so y'all cool or what? Destiny said, what do you mean? Tiffany said, are y'all hanging out? And Destiny said, no, we're not hanging out. We agree to disagree. When in reality, no, you didn't agree to disagree. You still wanted that thing. And Mel said, you have no options. I'm over it. Tiffany is looking confused and bewildered. Destiny said, don't ponder on it too long. Okay, we good. If we're in a room together, we will be good. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to focus on. Continuing on, Tiffany's like, well, everything was so good at the peace party. I couldn't tell if y'all were good. I can tell if you guys were good, if you were just faking. I mean, what was all that about? And I'm like, what is this about? Tiffany ran away from the counseling session because you don't want nobody in your business, but you stay in everybody else's. What is that about? Destiny said, at the peace party? She said, faking at the peace party? No, the only person that got on my nerves at the peace party, Tiffany, was you. Tiffany said, me? And Destiny said, yeah, you. So no, I wasn't faking. Stormi said, what Tiffany do? Destiny said, oh, you know how Tiffany does with her Tiffany rant. In her confessional, Destiny said, Tiffany is vibe unaware. Okay. She doesn't read the room. She doesn't read the vibes. She said, but I give her one thing. She is consistent because she definitely knows how to make an awkward moment more awkward. I'm actually glad Destiny paid her the dust that she paid Tiffany in that moment. That's what you get. So next we see Marsau and Chris Fletcher talking, okay? And remember last episode, Chris was like, I got to meet with Marsau. So he told Marsau, yeah, I've been getting a lot of heat about this. I was with my friend. I was with a friend. Marsau said, I thought that was clear. He said, because they said some crap that I was in Atlanta with some chick. Oh, is this the part of social media that you don't care about? But in reality, you really do care because every time somebody says they don't care, they do care, Marsau. Is that why you're responding? But back to the conversation with him and Chris, he said, he started stuttering. You know how he do that when he get that fast talking. He said, they said I was in Atlanta with some chick. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm like, I was in Atlanta with a friend. Because I didn't really like the way she was coming at me with the questions. He's talking about Tisha. And they flash back to last season when they were in the car and she was like, who were you with? It's where he was rocking her to sleep, talking about if you bring some nonsense to me with very little evidence, very little receipts, where it's not even a full story. Yes, I went to Atlanta January 4th that afternoon. And yes, I went with a friend. Me and this friend went to dinner. Now, if it was Chris, why didn't he just say from jump, yeah, I went to Atlanta with Chris, or I met Chris in Atlanta and we went to dinner? Why do you keep referring to this mystery person as the friend, this friend, my friend? And it wasn't until Tisha said, well, who's we? And he said, me and Chris Fletcher. Back at the Inest event, Marsau told Chris, it don't matter what I do. It don't matter what I say. They gonna find, they meaning social media and whoever, they gonna find something to say like, oh no, you could have pulled over on the side of the road. In his confessional, Marsau said, I don't think that Chris had to defend me, but he should have gave an accurate account for the truth without adding inflection and tone to the narrative. Well, you added tone to the narrative when you kept telling Tisha, my friend, a friend, my friend. He said, now my answer, it did build doubt, but I was building suspense because I was tired of getting questioned. So you keep playing games with your wife and her feelings and her insecurities at her expense because you're tired of getting questioned. So you wanted to play the game of building suspense because this is play, not real life for you. It's just real life for her. Continuing in his confessional, he said, why didn't I just come out and say Chris Fletcher? Because it ain't none of your damn business. It was your wife asking. So if it ain't nobody else's business, it's definitely her business who you were spending time with in Atlanta. Marsau gonna say, hey man, look, if you think I'm smart, he said, you know dang well I'm not going to make up a story and put somebody's name in it that wasn't there. In his confessional, he said, so this matter with Chris Fletcher is absolutely not settled because apparently Chris don't know how to answer questions without bias. Back over with the ladies, Destiny has stepped away. Tisha turns right around and say, have y'all talked to Mel? Again, we're on Mel. Stormi said, I talked to Mel today. I tried to get her to come, but I don't know if she coming. He said, y'all think she coming? And he said, she's coming. She has to come. What delusional land do you live in saying that she has to come? And why would you think she's definitely coming? For what? Tisha said, well, the six of us had dinner and she told us that if her schedule allows, she will come. Stormi said, is Sheree coming? Honey, that's what I want to know. Back with the men, Marsau said, hey, you here by yourself, dog? Martel quickly makes an exit. Hey, y'all, I'm about to go party. I'm about to go. I see y'all. They start laughing because they seeing him making his great escape. In his confessional, Martel said, so him and Sheree decided that it will be in their best interest for her not to attend the Inest wine event. And I can see why they would agree to something like that. Highly publicized, very well known, the both of them. They're in the beginning stages. She don't need to upstage his event to whereas everybody is talking about Sheree more than they're talking about his wine. Next, we see Maurice and Kimmy. They arrive. And it's time for Martel to make his speech, making up for the speech he gave in Atlanta. In his confessional, he said he took some time to write this speech because in Atlanta, he was not prepared. He's even visibly acknowledging his grandmother. He has a picture sitting on a tripod right next to where he's standing. He starts the speech. He's looking down at the table, so I'm assuming he's reading, and he's stumbling and fumbling a little bit. I'm assuming it's just nerves. Okay, I don't think that it's the man can't read. I think he's nervous. He was like stumbling and fumbling. He said, I'm gonna start over. And I'll say much better. He did well. He prepared well. He read well, and it was clear and concise and just long enough. And considering he's honoring his grandmother with this wine, he wants it to be a legacy for him and his children. I hope the wine does well. So the gang goes inside and they're sitting down, taking a seat. And Stormi said, you know, how you doing, Kimmy? I haven't seen you since the peace party. How you been? And Kimmy was like, I've been okay. And Stormi was like, I really wanted to talk to you afterwards. At the peace party, you had a moment. And I was like, oh no. She said, because I was thinking Kimmy is so strong and tough. He shared with her that she had just found out that she had a lump in her breast and they had did the ultrasound, all the tests and everything. She said, and that was probably the hardest night of her life at that peace party because I hadn't had the test results back at that time. So I was just waiting it out. And she let them know. So the test came back and she let them know that she has breast cancer. Destiny and Stormi are shocked by the news and she lets them know that she started chemotherapy and everything. And Stormi immediately gets up, arms out. She walks over. She's hugging her. She's crying, you know, and then outside we see Marsau talking to Kimmy's son, Jaylin. So checking on him, you know, seeing how he's doing. How are you with the situation regarding your mom? He said, I don't know, to be honest. I really don't know how to feel about it. I don't know how to process it. He said, I'm definitely scared, though, because it's something that I don't know. He said, this is something that I've never encountered. And as a man, I feel like I can't just show that all the time. He said, because, for example, if I showed it all the time, I couldn't even work at Black. As we all know, he's the general manager. Back inside, Kimmy is sharing more information about her diagnosis. She shared that it's still early, but Maurice is there. He's been her soldier. Maurice has really helped me accept some of the things that I just can't change. Destiny said, I know you won't ask, but whatever you need, I'm here for you. Said, and most of my friends say that because I'm just really not an asker. She said, I'm not really big on calling people and asking them, can they come over? Can they do this or that? I just do it. I just go home. Back outside, Jaylin is sharing his experience. And he's like, some days my mom, she's in good spirits. She has good days. And then other days I can't get a response out of her or Maurice. He said, and that hurts. Wow, I can't even imagine, because emotionally, he probably feels like he gets shut out sometimes when he can't get a response. He said, Marcel, you got to understand, before my mom met Maurice, I never even seen her cry until her wedding day. And he emphasized ever, not never. He said, because growing up, we didn't express feelings to each other like that. Wow, that is emotionally dysfunctional. I'm not saying anything bad about his upbringing and what went on in their house. I'm just saying that we all have dysfunctions in our families, and communication is one of them. It's not just, always domestic and things like that, or forms of abuse in that nature. Communication, either lack thereof or communication style, can be very impactful to someone's upbringing, and then how they go out and interact with other people and start their own families. He continued and said, and then when you guys started doing the show, that's when I saw her crying for the second time. Wow. So at that time, he had only seen his mom cry twice in his life. Whoa. He said, so to see my mom like this, it hurts, and it hurts bad, because I don't see her vulnerable like that. Expressing an emotional connection, Marsau brings him in for a hug and just tells him that he loves him. In his confessional, Marsau said, all I know with emotions is that you should express them in truth. I agree with that to a certain extent, because it's important that you control your emotions, but it is okay to express them. He continued and said, you should be true to what you're feeling, and you should think critically about, why do you feel this way? Like, what's happening? If I have a certain thought, or I can see my emotions going a certain way, sometimes I'll check myself and I'll be like, okay, wait a minute, something is happening. Why are you thinking this way? Why are you feeling this way? What's happening at this moment? Child, it's called therapy, honey. Y'all should try it. It works. And like he said, and then once you know why you're feeling what you're feeling, depending on what it is, you can be okay to feel how you feel. What's important after that is what you do with those feelings, because people can emotionally overreact all the time, or underreact, or in the matter that Jaylin is explaining, like they didn't express emotions ever. Marsau assures him that it's okay to feel how you want to feel. If you need to cry, cry. All of that is okay. Understand that it's okay to be optimistic, but it's also okay to be scared. He said, you know what, but I'm going to be checking on you because I know you're not going to reach out. And that is pretty similar to what Kimmy said. I don't call people. So they kind of have the same behaviors because they don't allow the vulnerability and emotion to come forth. So it's the day after the wine event, and Martel stops by Mel's house. In his confessional, he said, it's unfortunate that she didn't show up to support me. He said, but she did have a lot of reasons to be upset with me because a lot has transpired over the last 2 weeks. He said, but I stopped by because I wanted to talk to her about one of our kids moving up a grade in school, and I wanted to talk about the camps and stuff. You could have did that over the phone, but okay. So she comes to the door and he said, oh, you about to go? She said, yeah. And I have this bag that you need for the girls. He said, I don't need the bag. She said, I thought you was coming over to get the kids. He said, no, I came here to share a few things with you. He said, I thought we'd talk about the kids camp, and Milani moving up a grade. He said, you got me outside. Don't keep me outside in this heat. She said, oh yeah, it's outside today. And she sort of blocks him like, bro, don't take a step. You're not getting in my house. He starts walking down the steps talking about, well, I'm gonna leave because as long as you keep acting like that. He said, what is it? You ain't gonna invite me into that house? Don't play with me like that. She said, we have already established that we will be talking right here. And she pointed to the porch. He's like, no, ma'am, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. And with that, she walked back in the house and closed the door. He mad, okay? He walking off. Hell no, don't play with me like that. Well, looks like she did. In the house, she said, I'm not going to be following this little boy. And in her confessional, she said, I've never invited Martel into my home. And today is no different for me. He got too excited. She said, it's not one of those situations where I gave you an inch because I let you go to Destin. And so you think now you're supposed to take a mile? No, an inch, not a mile. She said, of course, Martel's reaction is to overreact because that's what he does. Yeah, he's emotionally impulsive. She said, but I don't care because it's a new Mel in town, boo-boo. And I set my boundaries and I stick to them. She said, you heard what the I said, you're not coming into my house. She stepped out on her porch. He's in the car. Mel stepped out on the porch and said, do you want to take the bag for the kids? His car was parked in an area where she couldn't see, so she was looking for him, and turns out he was calling her. So she said, Martell, I see you calling me. Here you go. He's trying to hand him the bag. He's backing up. He got the window rolled down. I don't need no bag. It's like, oh, okay. In her confessional, Mel said, every time I'm doing anything with you pertaining to you, it's drama, it's negativity. It just becomes bullshit again. She's walking back to her porch and she called him. She said, I see you calling me. He said, you gonna keep being immature? He said, you come to my house. You come inside my house. That's your house. That's your boundary. She don't have to do what you do. He said, you come in my house, and my thing is, don't be disrespectful when I come to your house. How is it disrespectful if she said you guys established this already? So why come there and think that it's supposed to be different just because you took a trip to Destin and then turn around and accuse her of being disrespectful? She said, Martell, I'm not being immature. He said, I said rude. She said, I'm not being rude, but let me ask you, have we ever had a conversation in my house? She said, you act like we're doing something different. We've talked on my back porch. He countered that with the question, have you ever been to my house? She said, we're not at your house. He said, I said, have you ever been to my house? She said, you are you and I am me. He raises his voice. I said, have you ever been to my house? He said, the answer is yes, you have been to my house. And yes, I did invite you in. And she said, Martell, you didn't have to invite me in, and I wouldn't have cared if you didn't. Not being able to take the conversation and the truth of the matter, he hung up in her face. He said, well, I thought me and Mel were in a place where we could be cordial. This word cordial has been coming up episode after episode. It's really starting to be overused. He said, I thought we could be cordial, but yet again, she's being petty and treating me in a disrespectful manner. Continuing in his confession, he said, I believe that Mel just wants to say I've never invited him into my home. Just like you felt like at Destin, she got the braids because she knows that you like braids. Maybe she doesn't want to just say that she never invited you into her home. Maybe she wasn't ready. I don't want that energy in here. This is a place of peace, not discord. Keep that energy on the front porch. Like Kevin Hart said, when his mom and his daddy broke up, his daddy immediately became the definition of a stepfather because he could not come past the steps. He wasn't getting in that house no more. Now he left, okay? Now I guess he got so far, he made a U-turn. Now he's back blowing the horn. His confessional, he said, when he was just at Mel's house, things went left real quick because he's not going to be standing on no hot porch in 100-degree weather. He said, when she comes to my house, I invite her in. So I feel like certain things should be reciprocated. How about if she don't want you in her house? How about you just talk on the phone? Why you got to talk face to face all the time? If she don't want you in her home, talk on the phone, talk in the garage, talk on the back porch, places where you are allowed. He said, but because these things are important about the children, I said, let me go back so we can talk about this. In her confessional, Mel said it's really frustrating for her to see him tuck his tail between his legs and bring his ace back to her house. He said, because I've been so far removed from Martell for so long, I don't even know how to handle his PMS mood swings no more. Not PMS. So she comes to the car and he was like, so what's the problem? We went to Florida. We had a good time. Everything was good. We were cordial. Said, you don't want me. I don't want you. So what's the deal? She said, one, yes, we were in Florida. Back from Florida, I was opened up to drama. I haven't been opened up to in I don't know how long. Like that energy coming back, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Pause. Pump all the brakes. I haven't dealt with that in so long, she said, because I stay in my own world, I stay in my business. And to be quite clear, I stayed away from you. She said, so it was a whole lot of drama that I haven't had to deal with in a very long time. And although you apologized for it, I appreciate the apology. However, it was still drama and it was triggering for me. She said, because I've moved 50 steps forward and I don't need to go any steps back. He said, don't hold me accountable for someone else being disrespectful. In his confessional, Martell said, my kids with Melody and my son, they all be around each other. So of course I had to share that information with my son's mom. But Melody can't hold me accountable for someone else's disrespect. She said, I am going to hold you accountable. He said, why would you hold me accountable for someone else's actions? She said, I'm going to hold you accountable the same way I held you accountable for all the years that I was disrespected in my marriage by this person. She said, and you continue to be with them and had a baby with them, even though they continued disrespecting your wife. So it's like old wounds coming back. You running pillow talking in her mind, pillow talking, running her business down to this woman, and this woman is putting her business on social media. She's gonna hold you accountable. Even though, as a parent, I do understand that it's the whole thing of contact tracing. If the kids have been around somebody who has COVID and then they come around your kid, please tell me, because I would want to know if my kid has been possibly exposed. That's a tough thing. He keeps telling her, you can't hold me accountable for that. She said, I am holding you accountable. He said, listen, if I have to keep the kids separated because of you getting COVID, he said, what's wrong with that? Mel said, I don't know why you didn't think it was going to end up on social media. You've seen the history, I don't know for how many years now. What was your purpose of going back telling her? He said, you was diagnosed with COVID the next day. She said, so what? He said, the kids have had to quarantine with me 3 different times because of you. He said, you brought it to me. She said, I didn't give you COVID because I wasn't even around you. He said, you brought the kids to me, and therefore 3 different times me and my kids had to quarantine because of you. He said, you're going back and forth to Atlanta. Completely jumping off the subject, she said, and back to this thing about you don't want me, I don't want you. You was just begging me the Monday before last to take you back. He's like, Mel. And I'm like, what, Mel? How'd you segue into that? You are triggered for sure. He said, stop lying. Why would I want you? Now, come on, Martell. Don't act like you was damn near not just in tears, in destined, and telling your mama how you want the day, that time and that trip to last forever and all that. Anyway, he said, why would I want you? She said, you can ask yourself that. Said you was like, you know, Mel, we soulmates. You know, we meant to be together. So Mel is exposing him because her medical history has been exposed. Okay. He said, listen, you've been way too many. And I don't know if he was trying to say you've been with way too many, but he said, you've been way too many something. They bleeped it out for me to want you. Giving them deuces, Mel just said, go, and walks off. He trying to talk to her. Mel's like, go, I don't hear nothing. I don't hear nothing. She's yelling in her confessional. She said, typical insecure man or boy. She said, I don't see how he could be on. Well, I didn't say anything personally. I didn't attack you. Said, but we all know that Martell puts batteries in people's backs. Said that's what he does, and he's been doing it for years. And he's been using the same sources for years. You like drama, Martell Holt, is what she said. Said accept it and own it, okay? Because you thrive off drama. Meanwhile, he's yelling at her, you can't handle the truth, and when the truth come out, you walk off. In his confessional, Martell said, if Mel is mad about what happened on social media, she should have shared that with me before I came over there. Because at this point, we're not even able to talk about what's important regarding the kids. In her confessional, Mel said, I can tell you one thing, I'm not one of your women to pit against nobody no more. So chill out, okay, when it comes to me. Because I ain't checking for you, boo. I'm moving on with my life, so the joke is on you. Now, if things really happened the way Martell said, as far as COVID and things like that, again, if the kids are around his son, how can he not tell his son's mother? Because the baby can potentially get COVID too. Like, as a mom, I would be furious if my son's father didn't tell me that his siblings had COVID and my son was around them, and then I couldn't do anything to protect my son from getting COVID, which would then also protect me from getting COVID. So if it happened the way Martell said it, I think Mel is being a little bit irrational. The wrong is in that girl running to social media and putting it out there. That's the wrong. But for the protection of the kids, I don't really see where Martell went wrong in that regard. And she was definitely triggered to throw up as far as, and you talking about you don't want me. That must have struck a nerve, because she went back to that, and she always reminds the viewers what he's saying in their private conversations as far as how he really wants her back. So that struck a nerve, because they were talking about the COVID and quarantine, and I don't know how she segued into, and you do want me, because you was just talking about like how we jump all the way over there. So everybody's triggered. Okay. Anyway, you guys, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, leave a comment if you so choose. And until next time, you all take care. Peace.